Welcome back to Tightwad Workshop. If you're a regular viewer, you've probably seen me using this 5-minute mallet for various projects over the past few years. To be perfectly honest, at the time that I made it I was expecting it to hold up under use for about the same 5 minutes that it took to make. But here we are, 4 years later and still going strong. I dismantled a few pallets yesterday, which left me with this pile of wooden blocks. So this seems like an appropriate time to look at making an updated version. So let's get started on our new and improved 10-minute mallet. I'll be using this factory-made mallet as a pattern. This type of mallet uses a tapered handle. Let's just tap it out so that you can see how it works. Now that it's out of the head, you can easily see the taper in the handle, here. Our first step will be to mark the centre line of our new mallet head. We need to mark this in both directions so that we can make the hole in the right place. I'll be using this pallet board to make the mallet handle. It's 21mm thick, and since I don't have a 21mm spade bit, we'll have to use this 22mm one to drill the holes through the head instead. I'll line the spade bit up like this to mark the 2 hole locations on the head. I'm intentionally leaving a little bit of space between the edge of the bit and the centre line of the head to make it easier to drill the second hole. It's much easier to drill accurately aligned holes with a drill press, and since I have one, we may as well use it. This cheap spade bit is slightly bent, but it'll work well enough for our purposes. Now we can move the wood block across in the vise and drill the second hole. The quill on my drill press isn't quite long enough to drill all the way through this block, so I'll take it over to the workbench and finish the holes using a cordless drill. If you have a good eye and a steady hand, you can do all the hole drilling like this. But since I don't have either of those things, I'll start them in the drill press. Now we can flip the block upright and chisel out the waste from between the 2 holes. Our factory-made mallet uses a rectangular hole through the head, but I'm going to leave this one with rounded ends like a sledgehammer. Once we've cleared the waste from both sides of the head, we can then use the chisel like this to finish cleaning up the hole. Now if we measure across the hole, we can see that it's 48mm at its widest point. Our mallet head is 100mm tall, so let's add an extra 50mm of length for the wide end of the handle. Now we can mark out our handle dimensions on the board. This will be a 50mm wide section for the head, and a 30mm wide section for the hand grip. Next we can take the board over to the ripsaw stool to cut out the blank. It's quicker and easier to cut off the excess wood from the narrow part of the handle blank using the ripsaw. Then we can use the tenon saw to cut off the waste. We'll cut at an angle to form these shoulders at the same time. Then it's back to the end of the workbench to round off all the edges of the handle blank using a spoke shave. This is a fairly quick process when you're working in softwood with a sharp blade. Once you've finished the hand grip section of the handle to your satisfaction, you can turn the handle around and work on the tapered section that fits into the mallet's head. What we need to do now is duplicate the rounded ends of the hole in the head onto the end of the handle blank. Once again, this is quite fast to do using a nice sharp spoke shave. If you find yourself working against the grain of the timber, you'll usually leave a rough surface like this. You can avoid this roughness by working the spoke shave in the opposite direction for these kind of surfaces. Once you've rounded the corners, you need to taper this section of the handle, leaving this dimension the same width as the hole in the head. For this mallet, that was 48mm. Now we can give the handle a quick sanding to remove any remaining sharp edges and splinters. Once we're happy with the smoothness of the handle, we can fit it into the head. I'll just use the 5-minute mallet one last time to tap the handle into place on its successor. The last part of the taper is getting pretty tight, so I'll brace the head on the edge of the workbench. For a tapered mallet handle, it's a good idea to leave a little bit sticking out at the top, like this. The heft and the handle length feel pretty good, so that just leaves one last thing to do. Our factory mallet has the surfaces of the head shaped at an angle, like this. As you can see, the centre line of the handle isn't parallel to the head surface. At the moment, our 10-minute mallet is shaped like this, which makes it slightly more difficult to hit things squarely with the mallet face. What we need to do is mark the same angles across the hammer faces, then cut them off with a tenon saw. So here's our original 5-minute mallet and our new and improved 10-minute mallet. Since Christmas is coming and I still have 7 of these wood blocks left, I think we've just discovered our Christmas giveaway for 2025. If you live in Australia and you'd like one of these mallets, then just leave a comment down below using this phrase to enter the prize draw. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to do international delivery on these items. These will be a special limited edition of shoddily constructed woodworking mallets, individually numbered and signed. In 20 years' time, these may be worth as much as $1 each. The competition will be open until Christmas Eve 2025, and I'll perform the prize draw on Christmas Day. I hope to see you then. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Tightwad Workshop is filmed in front of a live studio audience.